I think the best part about this year is being able to review all the great albums that have been coming out. And I mean, if you look back at 2020, it was a bit of a dry year. It was more of like the underground, and that really came up, and I was a big fan of that. And this year, it's crazy because so many people were due to drop last year, and they finally were able to extend their albums. I mean, if you look at what J. Cole did with the off season, it was fucking fantastic. Tyler the Creator will Call Me If You Get Lost. There was also really good efforts from people like Conway the Machine, who we're going to be talking about in this episode. So I think it's really fitting to go through everything that's going to be possibly dropping this month, in the month of July of 2021, because we are in the midst of the summer, and now is really getting heavy for this,
man,
and it's getting crazy.
The summer's rolling around, and now like people are very eager to start dropping because
Absolutely.
touring is an option, and a lot of people have stayed kind of quiet for the last few years, so this could be their moment to kind of make their comeback known to hip-hop. And let us know, because we're going to be taking you guys through the biggest albums dropping in July, or supposed to be dropping. So let us know which one you're most excited about. And not only that, but for our Patreon members, thank you for voting on this week's episode. The options were new rap albums you should be excited for in July 2021, which won with 7 votes. Then we had who's the best hookman in hip-hop right now, which got 1 vote. And then ranking the albums from Kanye's Good Music Run in 2018, which got 5 votes. So this was kind of a close one to call, but thank you guys for voting. And if you guys want to have your say in our weekly episodes, go to the link in the description and join our Patreon.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Thank you guys for the wonderful support. But listen, great fucking music's coming out, man. I'm super excited, especially like by the time this is gonna be out, it's gonna be the week of IDK's new album and Vince Staples' new album.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be reviewing that as well. That's why we have it on the itinerary today for that. So out of all of these, Lou, which one are you probably the most excited for? Because July is a heavy fucking year, especially if you look back at the history of July and drops. We could maybe expect some pretty big shit to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming. I think that A$AP Rocky's one that really catches my eye, and we'll get into why after, but I mean, he hasn't dropped since testing, and there's a lot of expectations on his back, a lot for him to kind of prove on this album to his overall fan base. So that's one that I'm really eyeing closely. What about you?
Well, if I'm going through this list, I'd probably, I'm excited to see make a really nice effort. Don Toliver, Life of a Don. I think I want to see what he has in store in the way that he's probably going to come full circle as a pop artist. I was reading through some crazy statistics with him, and he has a fuckload of monthly listeners on Spotify, and he has quite a good amount of platinum records. So he's really been killing
Cactus
it.
Jack's golden boy right now.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
But let's get into this, man.
Yeah, so let's start off with Trippie Redd with his new album, Trip at Night. And this is the first time we're actually talking about Trippie on the podcast. So the album cover has been released, and he said that he's dropping Trip at Night before his tour in August. So by the looks of it, with all the snippet teasing and whatever else, it sounds like he's going to be dropping in July. So what are your thoughts on this new release, and how do you feel about Trippie overall?
I think he's a great artist. I think he's very underrated, especially like his run from 2016 to 2018 was really fucking strong. Then I felt as if like maybe the quality diminished overall, like from, then to now. But
it ended up being quantity over quality for him, I think.
But the thing is that based on the snippets that I'm hearing and, based on a couple of feature runs that I've heard him go on, I'm really fucking excited for this because not only have I really gotten into Trippie's music this year, but I've learned to really accept his music because before I had a hard time getting into his sound, and more than ever, like I'm starting to find a lot more appreciation for melodic rap and singing, and and Trippie's someone that's really pushed that sort of genre forward within hip hop, more melodic rapping, more singing, more passion throughout the content matter and the lyrics. So that's what I'm a fan of. How about you? Like, what do you look for when you're listening to a Trippie song?
For me, it's always his vocals. I mean, he's really one of the most distinct vocalists and rappers out there because he kind of gives you this punk pop aesthetic with his voice, and you hear, his moans, his screeches, like all of the kind of different elements that he uses for his vocals always shine bright, and I feel like he's underrated as a singer, and he's a good rapper. I mean, if you look at, A Love Letter to You, on one of the songs, he's rapping over like a boom bap beat, and that really shocked me. But speaking about his recent work, I feel like the quality is maybe kind of diminished slightly, but he just put out, I think it was Neon Shark versus Pegasus, which is the deluxe version of the Pegasus album, and more rock influenced, and that was actually surprisingly great. You had Travis Barker doing a lot of the instrumentals, and that was fire. So I'm curious to see what he brings next. I mean, I know this one will be a sequel to I think 2018's Life's a Trip album.
I love that project too.
Yeah, you had songs like Oomp's Revenge on there, which were fucking great.
It was it was a really solid effort, and a lot of people thought that he was going to die down after his 2016 and 2017 run. Comes back in 2018 and delivers a great album that was not only greatly received with the fans but also the community. Like, I know a lot of people that bumped that project, and that, you know, it stayed in the rotation until now. So, you know, looking into this new album, what do you think he needs to do to really top himself and, you know, really take over again?
Well, look, we have the lead single already. We have Mr. Rage with Playboi Carti, and that was, I think that was a leak at first, and then they had finally put it out, and that song is really strong. To be honest, the production is very spacey. You know, it sounds like a beat that's out of this world, and the bass that kicks in is really powerful, and the chemistry too between Trippie and Playboi was really good. How did you like the song?
I did enjoy it. Like, it was cool because, you know, Whole Lot of Red gave me a whole different type of Playboi Carti that I never heard before. But, you know, Playboy's verse on this, like, felt so refreshing, and I felt like I was listening to like a 2017 Playboi Carti more
facts.
on Die Lit. So it was nice to see how they were able to capture that moment again and come together with something that sounded new and refreshing at the same time. Like, it was a great single. I really did enjoy it. I'm not gonna say it's been, you know, the craziest song in my rotation. I'm not gonna cap, but the thing is that
I think it's pretty high up there for me, to be honest.
Oh,
like,
really?
it's maybe not like a top 25 song of the year so far, but maybe that top 30 range. It's really up there in terms of trap goes. As far as that goes, it's really up there for me.
The production was really well done as
Yeah,
well.
the production was phenomenal. And honestly, Trippie had the better performance than Carti, and that's not what I expected. So that was dope to see. Apart from that, I mean, in terms of features, we have Uzi, who's been kind of teased. We have Polo G and Lil Durk as well. So it sounds like he's bringing together a nice cast, and I feel like this could end up being a return to form for Trippie, to be honest.
I think it could be too. I mean, listen, as I said before, his 2016 to 2018 run was fucking legendary, and I think he's captivated a lot of hip hop listeners and brought them into a whole different mode and a whole different sort of landscape sonically when, you know, creating his music. So always interesting to see what he's gonna bring to the table. But let's move on to an album, man, that we fucking put on every one of these lists. Okay, so whenever we create the lists, new music that's supposed to be dropping in next month, Isaiah Rashad always makes the fucking cut.
And then there's a couple other artists that are going to be repeated, but it's normal, right?
Absolutely. But listen, Isaiah's, you know, was supposed to drop in June. That was confirmed. And what are we today? Today, at the time of the recording, June 30th. So he literally has to drop tonight to make that happen. So what are the chances he drops this month? What are you thinking, man? What are you feeling?
I mean, I feel like it's more of an issue with the parent label on top of TDE that like are holding it back for whatever reason. But with Isaiah, I mean, his rollout has been pretty strong. I mean, for being absent and out of the limelight for 5 years and then coming back with two singles that sound totally different from one another and that kind of caters to both of his entire fan base because it's two different sounds, more of an up-tempo southern style with Lay With Ya, and then kind of that signature Isaiah Rashad soulfulness with Headshots. So
something that sounds right off the Sun's Tirade, sort of.
Yeah.
Like that's what I like about it, is that he's been able to give people a taste of what's to come with this album with two different aesthetics. As you said, you obviously have more of like that you know, southern bounce to Lay With Ya, and then you have that signature Isaiah Rashad style, something off of the Sun's Tirade with Headshots. So out of the two tracks, let me ask you, which one did you like better?
Oh, definitely Headshots. I mean, that's one of the most catchy hooks I've heard all year, and I feel like when I look at all of Isaiah's catalog, that's one song that will stick with me, you know, along with the R.I.P. Kevin Miller's, along with the Free Lunches and some of his best work. I feel like it's really in that upper echelon. And, you know, just speaking on this album, I feel like Isaiah is taking a totally different approach. I feel like this might be his most concept-based album, at least, you know, the most since Sylvia Demo, because the Sun's Tirade was kind of just, I would say, not a playlist vibe, but just a sentiment of what he was going through during that time, his struggles, and him getting that out there. But with The House Is Burning, we get the sentiment that it's going to be about him overcoming his struggles and kind of accepting his position in his life and what he has control over and what he doesn't. Just really an album of acceptance. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting with this.
Okay, and you had also said that you think that he's going to sort of steer away from the lyrical aspect of his artistry. So that's interesting. I want you to explain that.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of Isaiah fans right now are saying like, yeah, I'm fucking with the new music from him, but at the same time, he seems to be steering away from his more lyrical side and you know, shit that we would have gotten on his previous projects where it's bar heavy, the vocabulary is kind of more profound. And I do agree that these songs obviously haven't been his most lyrical, and if he's not going for that vibe, I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I mean, you can't see that he's lost it, because if you look at Why Worry from 2020, that was pretty lyrical from Isaiah. So
That's true. Maybe
he hasn't lost that ability.
and not only that, but it's the 2 lead singles to the album, right? So you can't necessarily judge the whole album off of that. And even at that, like Lay With You and Headshots, I like the approach he took with it because it gave me more of like how could I put it? Maybe a free lunch sort of vibe, like something that had like more of like a bounce to it, something that was like easier on the ear, something that maybe wasn't
Late night drive music, man.
exactly
That's what
like
it
that,
is.
well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So to be able to come out and say like, oh fuck this, I'm not fucking with the album already because there's not like exquisite lyricism or such profound vocabulary. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna kill my expectations and go into the album hating it already. But I've loved the 2 singles that I've already dropped and been in my rotation super heavy so far.
And there was even a leak that came out with Lil Uzi. I didn't hear it because I'd rather not hear it because it probably will end up on the album. But it's called From the Garden, and that's really interesting. To see Isaiah hook up with Uzi, never would have thought it
Uzi's
at
been
all.
killing his features though lately.
He has. I mean, look at what he did on Juggernaut. Look at what he did on the Pierre Bourne album. He's been on a fucking tear, and it sounds like he's returning to his 2016, 2017 sound with the quick pace flows and all that sort of stuff. So I'm excited for this. And another thing too is that Isaiah did an interview with Complex, and he hinted at another Kendrick Lamar feature and a SZA feature.
I think those are both happening. Those are for sure locks on the album.
Man.
How can you not put those 2 people on an Isaiah track list? Like
I know.
SZA's been on every single one of Isaiah's projects, and I think it's the other way around as well. Isaiah's been on every single one of SZA's projects. Well, Control to this date, and obviously we've gotten Kendrick Lamar on What's Wrong on his 2016 effort Sun's Tirade. So it's cool. I'm definitely down for both of them, and I think it's a good idea for TDE to start off their rollouts like that. Like bringing back Kendrick and SZA on Isaiah's project is a perfect fucking place to start these rollouts again.
Let me ask you this. If we get, let's say, a SZA, a Schoolboy Q, and I would say an Absol project, aside from the Zay album this year, who do you think Zay's going to have the best out of TD's camp?
I think so.
Yeah?
I really do
Okay.
think so. First of all, I think he's one of the most talented out of TDE, if not, up there with Kendrick and Absol. I think like that's like my 3, most talented out of the whole group as far when it comes to like artistry and lyrics and, maybe diversity within the production. But let's say we do get that Schoolboy Q album. I've been listening to a lot of Blank Face and a lot of Crash Talk lately, and I'm like really, 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 really captivated by his sound. Like the way he's able to put together his projects are fucking fantastic. And honestly, like I just want to see them release music because it's been so long and I'm hungry for new shit. But
It's time for a TDE takeover, man.
Jeez, but let's actually get on to Vince Staples' self-titled. So how hyped are you, buddy?
We're
doing it next week.
Yeah, man. This is a very anticipated album for the entire community. And to be honest with you, I feel like Vince Staples was one of the most important artists of the 2010s. I mean, look at his fucking discography. Look, Hell Can Wait, Summertime '06, Prima Donna, Big Fish Theory, man.
FM in 2018 was super
It's just
slept on.
no one speaks about his catalog, and it's surprising because in terms of his production, I mean, look at what he did with No ID. Look at what he's done with Kenny Beats. Just has a great ear for production. Not only that, but I mean, in terms of just his lyricism, his storytelling, him really, showing you what it's like to be in his environment and kind of how he's reacted to the fame and that sort of stuff. He just put out some of the best projects of the 2010s, and based on what we've heard with Law of Averages, which is, of course, the upcoming single. Sorry, it's the single that has come out for the upcoming album. I'm very hyped. I'm very, very excited for this one.
You're gonna find me bumping that album all fucking year. I am so excited for a Vince Staples project. You have no idea. The way FM lasted into my replay value was absolutely incredible. Such a sleeper project for me in 2018. And I'm gonna go through this track list because it's interesting because I feel as if like, especially with like Big Boys Playground and like that whole sort of vibe and implementing that into the track list, if he could do that again and bring that cinematic value into this new self-titled project, I'm with it 1,000%. Not only that, but FM was only 22 minutes long. If that's something he could bring back and deliver such a fucking tight track list with, executing it on such a little amount of songs with, such a short, like, let's say, listen, dude.
Yo, to me,
this is going to be crazy.
That's just the most impressive thing. And that's the case for a lot of Vince's projects. I mean, if you look at FM, like you said, 22 minutes. I think Big Fish Theory is only like 35 minutes.
Yeah, 36.
Prima Donna is like 20 minutes. Like, when you can, encapsulate a listener for that little amount of time and get your message across with only, let's say, 7 to 12 tracks, that's fucking impressive.
Not
man.
only is it impressive, but I think the best thing he has going for him is his flow and delivery as well. Like when when Vince Staples is getting on a song, it's almost fucking impossible. Like his voice and his delivery is so unique, and is
Even his metaphors, man.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
like if you look at something like birds and the bees, I mean, if you look at what that represents, and it's how he doesn't want people kind of fucking with him. It's just, if you really look into the double entendres and everything that he brings to his lyricism, it's fucking astonishing. And I mean, how many people could say that their debut album was executive produced by No ID? I mean, once you have that kind of backing, and I think he also has been in the studio with Killer Mike, when you have the respect of some of the greats and you're still kind of in the peak of your career, it says a lot to your artistry. And I just feel like Vince deserves more, definitely more recognition.
Absolutely. Vince Staples is a fucking G. This guy could do anything he wants.
Did you like Law of Averages?
I loved it.
Yeah?
I think it was so cool because it was different than any other Vince Staples that I've heard before, because it was a bit of a slower tempo, and like it sounded more grimy. It had more of like a scary feel to me. So it was something different that I'd gotten from FM, but it's nice that he's introducing maybe this new sound and this new sort of wave with, his self-titled. So I'm super excited for it. And do you think that this album maybe has the potential to creep into our top 5 list towards the end of the year?
100%, man. I mean, obviously, Big Fish Theory is one of my favorites of 2017, so that's up there. I mean, Summertime 06 is one of the better debut albums of the 2010s. So, yeah, anytime that he drops, he definitely has Album of the Year potential. And, just speaking on Law of Averages, I love what he did, even with the visuals. And it was kind of him just being on his boss shit, saying, like, I don't want anyone fucking with my money. I don't want these leeches coming around me because I'm on now. And what's cool too is that Vince Staples is going to be striking twice this year. This is the first of 2 albums. The second one is going to be Ramona Park Broke My Heart, which is named after a park in his neighborhood where he grew up. So that might be very personal. And he says that this new album will be showing a new side of him, a new perspective of Vince Staples. And that's really enticing because it sounds like he's made a new discovery within himself, and he's gonna, explore that and make us witness it.
Absolutely. Always down for new Vince Staples. It's going to be a fucking ride. And guys, listen, if you haven't subscribed already, if you are interested in this new Vince Staples album, we will be reviewing it Friday. Stay up with us. But let's actually get on to Travis Scott's Utopia. And I don't know how many fucking videos we've done on this, just because there's been so much.
We're going to keep talking about it until it comes out.
We're going to keep fucking going because you have to. I mean, there's absolutely no choice. And listen, at the end of the day, when you're listening to a Travis Scott album, you're going to get so many different things. There's so many different expectations, but what could you really expect with it? Because it's Travis Scott. He's going to completely blow away the world again.
Look, to me now, it's not a question of, will Travis Scott deliver? Because he will. He's done it all throughout, his entire catalog, from his mixtapes to his 3 studio albums. Now it's, can he take it to that next level? Can he be the ambitious artist that we know him to be? Can he really take us to a new sound? And that sounds like it will be the case, because he said that this new album will be psychedelic rock. And yes, of course, his sound has been built upon the foundation of psychedelic hip hop and giving us these trippy effects within the production, and of course his auto-tune. But now it's like, what can he do to stand apart from that and really create a movement, maybe not only for hip hop, but for the entire genre of all music genres. He can transcend here.
Absolutely, and I think him introducing this new genre into hip-hop, well, I mean, there's a couple of great albums that I've already touched upon the genre, one of them being Blank Face for me. I mean, there's a heavy psychedelic rock influence in there, especially within the production and everything that's going on, but I'm going to be interested in the way that Travis is going to deliver his verses on this. Like, is he going to be more melodic maybe with himself, or is he going to be trying to, maybe explore different ways to use his auto-tune? Is he going to, be using the same ad-libs? Like, those are more of the questions I have. Like, how is he going to be able to really deliver this album? Because I listened to that West Side Gun snippet, and that sounded like a delivery straight off a coffee bean. So it's like, I'm not talking about the flow and the delivery. I'm just more talking about like the less use of auto tune and the more
laid back flow, I would say too.
Not like less vocal effects, like really clear cut. Like you understand what he's saying, and he's going through the production with it. So it's like, how is he going to be able to incorporate all that into one coherent track list? That's the question I have, and I think that's what's going to be the most impressive for me.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, Lost Forever with West Side Gun seems to be a step into that new direction for Travis, where he's experimenting with new sounds. You have James Blake's vocals pitched up, and to me that sounded like a woman the first time I heard it, but it's actually James Blake, who I think might have had a say on the production of this album as well. Not only that, but he's been working with Kevin Parker of Tame Impala again, so of course that Tame Impala, that's kind of their thing, is psychedelic rock. Exactly. So it'll be cool to see that. But the other snippet we got is Escape Plan, and that sounds more like signature Travis Scott. So to be honest, I feel like if I would have it my way, I wouldn't want Escape Plan on the album. I'd rather have Franchise, Lost Forever, songs that kind of have more of a futuristic vibe that would fit into the aesthetic of Utopia, and that would be, Travis really diving into new territory, because that's what he needs to do here, because we know he can drop a good album. We know that he's dropped timeless music. I mean, think about how many people are still bumping Rodeo, Birds, Astroworld. That's still in everybody's rotation, but now it's like, you've done that. You've given us music to listen to for the years to come, but let's go into new territory. Let's
experiment.
Yeah,
This guy's such a fucking genius, especially when he's creating. And like, I always love that first feeling of going into a Travis Scott album. Like, what is this gonna sound like? And one thing I do want to see again is the hidden features. Yeah, that is gonna play such a big part into my replay.
How have you liked the rollout so far?
I loved it. Like, it's cool because it kind of follows the same suit as Astroworlds, and like I could kind of see how that marketing's worked out for him. But I think Travis Scott started his rollout back in 2020, especially with all the collaborations, like really putting his name into pop culture, keeping up the marketing, launching Cacti this year. Like, he has been on a massive roll. And I think right now, like, with all of the eyes on him, if there's one guy that could deliver on that amount of pressure, it's fucking Travis Scott. The guy's a genius.
And his feature run has been good too. I love what he did on Do-Rag Activity. Enjoyed his performance on Hats Off. I also, what was the other feature that he did this year? There was one other one. Let me see if I have it down here.
Was it on... was it on the YSL tape?
Yeah, Diamonds Dancing.
That was okay.
That was not bad.
That was okay.
But I mean, look, Travis is never known for his features, so you can't ever hear a Travis feature and be like, oh no, like this is what we're getting on the album, like this isn't up to par.
But we've gotten great Travis features.
We have gotten many great Travis features.
Especially before Astroworld. Like, I could go through a bunch of them. But let's actually move on to Don Toliver's Life of a Don. And this is coming out when? I believe it's on the 16th, correct? If I'm
that is coming out. There is no date for it, actually.
Okay, we had made the theory though because of the Rolling Loud situation. So explain that and say how not only does Don Toliver's rollout kind of correlate with it, but also Travis's.
Yeah. So if you look back in 2018, of course Travis dropped Astroworld August 3rd, and I believe the very next day his first performance of the album was at Lollapalooza in Chicago, and a day before Astroworld came out, Donnie Womack came out from Don Toliver. So they had kind of the strategy of like, okay, let's have Don Toliver have a project already released so that when they hear him on Can't Say, they have music from him to actually bump and to go to. And I feel like that might be a similar rollout this year where they're both, Travis is headlining and Don Toliver is performing at Rolling Loud in Miami on July 23rd. And I believe that falls on a Friday once again, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, let's see that.
Let me go check this out.
I believe it is a Friday. I'm not sure. I think it's the 23rd.
July
23rd?
July 23rd is a Friday, and that's when the performance, is for Travis. That's when he's headlining. So what we could see is maybe Don Toliver dropping on the 16th of July, and then Travis dropping literally on the day of the performance, 1 week apart from each other. Yes, you might say, okay, that's not smart because they're not leaving their projects time to breathe and for them to have their own light, but I feel like it really might go down that way.
It might go down.
History
that way.
might repeat itself.
History often repeats itself. So who knows? Maybe they're bringing back that vibe. But speaking on the things that I want sonically from Life of a Don, I think it's going to be a great album based on the two singles that we heard already. I'm super confident in Don Toliver. Also seeing him dive into something outside of hip hop and rap, and maybe that traditional R&B with the autotune that he used to do back then is really fucking cool, because I feel as if there's someone from this new generation that could really tap into pop culture and really get into the pop lane, it's Don Toliver, especially with the way that he's able to utilize his autotune. His vocals are fucking beautiful. Not only that, but the types of melodies that he could bring on really mellowed out productions allows for such an easy listen and could be accessible to any type of user. So, how do you feel about that, and where do you think he could take it with this next album?
Yeah, I just feel like at this point, I mean, with Drugs and Hella Melodies, along with the other single that he dropped, the name's slipping me right now, but I think it's called What You Need, actually. But with those two songs, I mean, he's showing us that in terms of, making music alongside that production that is very psychedelic from Wonder Girl, and he's also, going over some Hit Boy beats now, the production will be A1. Of course, when you're signed to Cactus Jack, I mean, there's a standard for the type of beats that you need to make your project feel grand, I would say. So what Don Toliver has to do is keep riding that wave of having that mix of R&B and trap and really dominate on the hooks, because that's probably his strongest suit. And we saw it this year with His and Hers. We saw it on Lemonade and how big of a hit that was. So I want to see him do that. I want to see him also kind of have a theme to the album like he did with Heaven or Hell, where every single song felt like a different mood that he was going through throughout a night of partying or whatever it is. So I just want him to show us what else he could do, really showcase his talent, and maybe set himself really apart from Travis Scott, because he's obviously under his wing, and obviously their sounds do raise comparisons, but already I think he does enough to stand as his own, standalone artist. But I want to see him kind of really make a name for himself and his own individuality.
I like that explanation. I have to agree with all of that. I think once he starts, to really dive into his own and really starts to come into his own, it's going to be great. And another thing is that, if you look at the people that are coming up with him, like let's say Polo G or Jack Harlow, let's say Annalie Choppa, even Baby Keem, I feel as if he's the one guy that could really take it to that commercial level.
Yes.
And especially for the 2020 decade, it's going to be a really nice ride for him. I mean, Heaven or Hell did a lot, and, especially like that Lemonade single later on, like really fucking put him onto a different level as far as like commercial success goes. And obviously it all started from the Can't Say feature, but it's been crazy to see how he's been able to capture every single moment, that's happened within his career, and has just been able to build on top of that.
And I remember last time you were saying how he might dive into kind of the pop lane, and you could see him kind of fitting in there. Do you think that might happen in the future?
I think so. Yeah? Absolutely. It would be such a smart move for him. Like, I feel as if, yes, obviously, like I'd like to see him, collaborate with hip hop artists and, continue that vibe going. But I always wish an artist well, and, seeing where he would probably fit the best. And to be honest with you, when you have that much talent, especially with your singing, the use of your auto-tune and your melodies, why not? Go for it. Fuck it.
Go all the way with it, yeah.
This guy could sell platinum records upon platinum records, and it'll fucking hit because of how relatable not only his content is, but again, how good he is with his singing and his melodies. So incorporate all that together. I think it's a clear fucking race for him. Not only that, but man, the anticipation for this album is real. People have been waiting for a year now, but I'm fucking with it. But let's talk about another super highly anticipated album, and that is Pop Smoke's self-titled posthumous album. So this is very fucking interesting because the last rollout was perfectly executed. Everything sounded great. We know the replay value on it is crazy because it's one of the highest selling albums of the 2021 year. What could we expect, man?
Man, this has aged so beautifully, and I mean, shout out to Pop Smoke, shout out to 50 Cent. I mean, everyone that was behind this project, just his debut album shattered records. I mean, on the Billboard charts, it sold like 250K first week, and it just goes to show that, Pop Smoke was really, on his takeover vibe. You know what I mean? He was really the main force behind the New York drill scene, and this album really showed a maturity, I would say, from the Meet the Woo tapes. You saw him diving into, some R&B songs. You saw him diving into ATL trap sounds as well, with songs like For the Night. And of course you got, some great homages to 50 Cent on a song like Got It On Me. And a lot of people were saying that like they preferred his version of Many Men over the original 51. And honestly,
they can't say that.
I can't say that, but
no,
it's a great rendition. It's better than what 21 Savage did.
It is a great rendition. I do have to say that it was really well done. I'll put it like that. And I think Pop Smoke's music will forever be timeless, because think about it, like, who really does New York drill like he does? Who has that sort of that
it's
lane
the
on
fucking energy, man?
It's crazy.
His track presence, I don't think, can be rivaled by anybody else in hip hop today in terms of really dominating a track and having that voice. Really, I would say, be as powerful as it is. It's second to none, man.
It is, and the way that he was able to take such a modern twist on, on the drill scene and really put in that New York flavor and come up with it was fucking great. He was also a marketing genius, man. Like, this guy has hits. This guy has fucking hits, like platinum records, on Platinum Records. So crazy to see what he's gonna be doing with this next posthumous album.
And this new album, it's a self-titled album. We do know that. We also know that I think it will be 17 songs, which is totally fine. I think that, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon was around that range. If not mistaken, it was like 20 songs. Let me go see.
Yeah, that was one thing that I had noticed too, was that the 19 songs?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So how do you feel about that? Like,
so with this new one having 17, I feel like that's a good amount. I mean, there's definitely going to be some star-studded features. We don't know anything about that yet, but we did get a teaser trailer to what the album is, and you kind of just have, a documentary-style video where Pop Smoke is, giving these inspirational quotes, him manifesting his own success, and, just these cool videos of him performing. And it seemed like it was painting a picture of his life. And that's what this album might be, is him talking about his come up, him, I guess, reflecting back on old experiences. And I mean, it's just crazy how much he accomplished, I think, at the age of 19 or 20.
That's fire.
It's insane, man.
It's really sick to see, especially like, the amount of talent that he had and the way that he was able to manifest that all and really put it within the industry is fucking inspiring. And listen, he's going to go for, his music's going to last for years. His music is fucking timeless, especially with, with what he had released, prior to the whole, situation, and, the way that has aged and the way that has, really come together and infiltrated pop culture. It's fucking crazy.
Even his feature game this year. I mean, if you look at what he did on Clueless on the Hall of Fame album, fucking stole the show, man.
It's probably one of the best performances on that whole fucking album,
It is.
too.
It really is.
Listen, salute to Pop Smoke. I think he's, him and his camp are going to deliver another great posthumous album. But let's actually get on to A$AP Rocky's All Smiles. We did a what to expect about this, and this was fucking interesting because there's so many rumors of him going back to an old sound. There's so many different things. So, what's your take now? We haven't gotten a lead single yet. We haven't really gotten much rumbling around it. All we got really was Babushka Boy.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be out by now, to be honest.
You think so?
I thought it was gonna be out by now. I mean, now it's coming down to a point where he has a bunch of festivals lined up for the summertime, and we're in the month of July. His first big one, of course, is Rolling Loud, along with a bunch of other crazy headliners, but I mean, I think we can expect some visuals and, a full blown out rollout very soon. And I feel like based on what he did with the GQ magazine cover, where he kind of gave us some insight on the album, I think it's definitely completed. Actually, I'm almost sure it's completed because in April he had his first NFT come out, and what he was auctioning off was actually the full version of Sandman, along with a studio session with him where a lucky fan could hear the entire album. So,
wow, that's crazy.
Do you think that he's going to sit on it for a while longer, or what do you think is kind of...
I think it's coming soon, especially with the Rolling Loud dates. Like, he's been, he's headlining so many different festivals, so it would just make sense to do so. Not only that, but he's someone that is such a great live performer. Like, I've had the blessing to see Testing perform live, and it was a great fucking experience. Whoever has the chance to do that, please do so. He is a great live performer. So seeing where he's going to be able to go with this and the way he's going to be able to sort of gauge the reception with live shows and really being able to have, people listen to this live and have it within the summer rotations, I think it's a fucking smart time for him to run this, don't you think?
100%. And I feel like, especially with the new direction he's going to take, because in that GQ magazine, he gave us a lot of details, and he said that this album will be a ghetto love tale and that it's inspired by, of course, his relationship with Rihanna. And I'm hoping that, him and Riri actually have a song on this, because that sounds like it would go crazy, especially if it's more experimental music. And that's the biggest takeaway, for me with this album, is the fact that he said that he was disappointed that his fans, well, not all of his fans, but that some of his fans didn't kind of get what he was going for with Testing and the sounds that he was tackling there. But he said, fuck it. I have my catalog. If you want to hear my Pretty Boy Flacco shit, you have that catalog. Go listen to Live Love A$AP. Go listen to my older projects. But he's going to keep pushing the envelope, man. He's not going to play it safe. He's going to experiment once again. And I think we can expect some more psychedelic sounds. I think that the collaborators that are confirmed are Morrissey from the Strings. The Smiths, sorry. Morrissey from the Smiths. And Rihanna will probably be on it as well.
I heard Clams Casino as well.
Clams Casino is returning.
How do you feel about that, man? If there's a way to bring back your old sound, A$AP Rocky, it's fucking having Clams Casino on this. I was going through Live Love A$AP the other day, and I do a listen maybe once a week. Like, it's one of my, it's a top 3 mixtape of all time for me. It's that heavy within my rotation, and I was just like, wow. How do you do this, man? Like, how do you create fucking art like that? Like, you go through the whole track list and there's not a single skip on it. And, the way that they're able to come together and create this really psychedelic vibe and put you into a whole different landscape, it's really fucking nice.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather him return to, his nostalgic sound from, let's say, that mixtape, or would you rather him dive into new territory on this one? Or a mix of both. A mix of both.
A bit of both.
Fair enough.
Get a bit of both, because if there's someone that does psychedelic hip hop to the best extent, I do think it's ASAP Rocky.
Along with Travis.
Along with Travis, Flatbush Zombies are in there as well. So, he's definitely gonna have to incorporate that back, at least, from my personal enjoyment, if I have to say one thing, but also experimenting, seeing where he could go. Like I want to see him like also tackle some jazz beats. Like that's something that I also want to see. Like, like one guy that I think he could, like one producer I think that he could go really well with is Derringer from Griselda.
Yeah.
So that's maybe one producer I'd like to see on there if I had to put out a guess. But I don't think it'd happen. But
I just need that Clams Casino comeback, man. I mean, what we heard off of Sandman with that chopped and screwed instrumental, and just the way that beat gave Rocky a lot of room to kind of produce this flow that was very relaxed and very confident and calculated, and him rapping about the way that he views art and his creativity, having the mind of a filmmaker. I just feel like ASAP Rocky always brings top-notch visuals and really immerses you into his sound. And in terms of just his charisma and his braggadocio, it's out of this world, man.
It's on a different level. But let's move on to the next project. Listen, let's talk about Conway the Machine being the best lyricist in the game right now. Let's do that.
Yeah, man. He's up there, and I think that
I want to start like that.
Even in Griselda, it's hard to crown somebody the best lyricist, because Benny the Butcher, to me, is up there with the best of them, has some of the best one-liners in the game. But, I mean, like Conway said himself on La Máquina, he's the silliest with the bars. There's no fucking debating it at this point.
And God does not make a mistake when it comes to his fucking bars. God is pitch perfect with his bars, and that's the name of actually his next mixtape, I believe. It's not a studio. No, it's his first studio album with Shady Aftermath, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. God don't make mistakes. So how do you feel about the overall vibe, and where do you think this is going?
Man, this is huge, because this has been teased since Conway and Westside Gunn signed their deal with Shady Records back in, I think, 2017. And what's interesting about that deal is that it's a one album deal, and Westside Gunn already came out with his album, so he's free from that contract, and that was Who Made the Sunshine. And now it's Conway's turn, and he said that about a month ago that ideally he wants this album, God Don't Make Mistakes, to come out in June or July, and apparently it's in Shady Records' hands, so they will decide when it gets released. But from what I'm hearing, he's saying that it's going to be a lot of Derringer production, which is awesome, because that's kind of what Conway's foundation is built upon.
That's facts.
Those very creepy, piano riffs, the very dark and eerie vibe that those set up just give Conway so much room to take you through his journeys. Him talking about his empowerment, him talking about street stories, and the way that he delivers his bars, the punchlines, the NBA references. I'm here for all of it, man.
I'm here for all of it. Another great thing about his music is his fucking imagery. Like, this guy will paint a beautiful picture and will do it with, such class and such beautiful, I would say, style. Like, his style is what really gets me, because it's rough, but it's also very smooth and polished at the same time.
And he defeated all the odds, man. When you look at him and you hear about his story and how he had to overcome, his Bell's palsy, and I mean, based on that, when the doctor tells you, like, yeah, your chances of rapping again are not very likely and it's not recommended. When you can overcome that and say, fuck all the bullshit, fuck all the hardship, I have the talent to be one of the best lyricists in this, in this wave of new golden era hip hop, that's amazing. To see him do that, and to see him, despite all his challenges, really be one of the craziest lyricists around. And in terms of the features for this, he actually did confirm a few names. So, of course, Benny and Westside Gunn will be on there. And then we have Lil Wayne,
Rick Ross. Wow, that's a fucking crazy feature list. That's nice. That's a really well done feature list, because the thing is that you're probably going to get a song with both Westside Gunn and Benny on the same one. I think they're going to have a reunion, and then you're going to hear something with Wayne. I think that's going to be a bit more fast paced, and then you're going to get some fucking crazy class shit, like you feel like you're riding in a
man. If we can, if Conway can bring back some more legends like he did bringing Method Man on Lemon, I mean, that shit just goes crazy, man. To see him merge this new golden era of hip hop with the real golden era of hip hop from the 90s, seeing him work with his influences like the Wu-Tang Clan, and seeing him really blend in both generations, that has me super excited.
I want to see a Black Thought feature.
Oh,
I gotta say
man.
it, man. I'm gonna be the one to
Benny
say it.
got it. If Benny can get it on Crown for Kings,
I want to see a Black Thought feature. I want to see who does what on there. Who do you think would steal the show on that?
it's Black Thoughts,
Okay,
man.
okay.
Honestly, I mean, there hasn't been many occasions, if any, that Black Thought has gotten bodied. So, I mean,
I know. I gotta say, but listen, this project is shaping up to be, you know, an album of the year contender. It probably will be within our top 10 or within our top 5 because it's fucking Conway the Machine. Like, this guy's a genius. But I have to ask you a question, man, because this is one of the last projects we're gonna talk about on this list. And where's Drake's Certified Lover Boy, man? Where is it? What's happening with it? What's going on? Like, I want to listen to this project so bad, and I don't think I'll be able to handle it when it drops. Like, I am waiting for new Drizzy, man.
listen, man, this has been one of the longest album rollouts, if not the longest, in Drake's entire career. And it might also be the most clever because with every passing day that goes by, it's still, I feel like in every hip hop head's mind is like, where is CLB? You know, with all the fucking delays, with all the singles and Lucy's that he's dropping from the Scary Hours 2 EP. Talk about Laugh Now, Cry Later, which was a very underrated track in my opinion, and second best to what he's released recently, right after Lemon Pepper Freestyle. But with Drizzy Drake, I mean, this shit is gonna just take hip hop and, you know, the entire music genre by storm. Because look, man, he has so much people to cater to, but you know that he's gonna fucking deliver in every one of those categories.
Yeah, he delivers. If there's one thing Drizzy Drake does, it's he delivers.
But
like,
do you feel like
he does it?
Let me ask you: do you feel like Drake can even afford to make an album that just focuses, let's say, on the bars or just focuses on the R&B?
Why would he want to though? Like, the guy's so dominant within every single fucking sound of music. Like, the guy could go into dancehall, the guy could go into UK, into, you know, UK grime, and the guy could go into more of a Toronto aesthetic. Like, where does Drizzy stop? And the thing is that, you know, I was watching a couple of Anthony Fantano reviews, and like there was like 10 minutes of bashing Drake because we all know how he's not really a big fan of it. And one big criticism that Anthony Fantano has with Drake's music is that he tries too hard with the accents, and like it doesn't sound good. It sounds well off, and I don't know. I don't find like
I don't really
love
agree.
Like,
honestly, to me, it just shows more character. It
Yeah,
shows that
like-
Drake is cultured and that, you know, he's been around people and kind of also his origins kind of relate to, you know, let's say the sounds that he tackles. And I mean, look, at this point, we saw in Scorpion that he had to literally make a double-sided album just to please everybody. But with this project, if he tackles just one sound, it would surprise me, but I still think that it would be, you know, very well executed. I also feel like Drake has said this himself that he'll never do a double album ever again. So we can expect this track list to kind of be more focused, and I feel like maybe we're going to be looking at, I would say, between 13 and 17 tracks, which would be very nice. And I just feel like at this point, there's nothing that Drake can do, so it's up to him, man. It's up to what's going to be inspiring him and, you know, what direction he wants to go with. But speaking about the actual release of it, he said it's coming by the end of the summer. Do you believe that?
I don't know, man. I don't want to doubt him. I never want to doubt Drake because every time I ask questions, I always end up, you know, getting my mouth shut. So I've stopped asking questions. Whenever it comes, it comes. I'm super down for it. That's all I could say about it. Like, the anticipation's real because, you know, I enjoyed Scorpion. I'm not gonna lie. Like, obviously, you know, there was gripes with it and people had their criticism with it, but I liked it. It you know, a good portion of that track list made a rotation for me.
It had its songs.
And it had its songs, you know, like 8 out of 10, or let's say, you know, like
Sandra's
Rose, or even like I liked Mob Ties, you know, like there was a lot of great tracks on
Blue
there.
Tint was a good one too.
Blue Tint was really
on
nice.
the R&B side, yeah.
So why even question him at this point? I see so many people saying, "Oh, he's gonna miss, he's gonna fall off, he's gonna miss." Have you guys not learned your fucking lesson already? Like, I don't understand how many people have to question this guy before
you know
he puts
what it
out
is?
a great album.
When you're on top, man, and when you have that global appeal, everyone is going to try to take shots at you just because it's just like, why is this guy still up here after a fucking decade? How are we letting him still dominate? And it's because the music's quality. And I mean, he's done so much for the game and broken too many records to name. And I just feel like this streak of dominance will not end anytime soon. And speaking about history repeating itself, if we look at 2018, when the first Scary Hours EP dropped, that was in the month of January. Fast forward 5 months, Scorpion comes out June 29th. If we kind of take that pattern and apply it to this year, Scary Hours 2 EP came out in March. Fast forward 5 months, the album might come in August.
Ooh.
And in
Okay.
August marks the 1 year mark after, let's say, the real rollout of CLB started, because that's when Laugh Now Cry Later came out. So who knows if I'm onto something there. You guys let me know your thoughts on it, but I'm really hoping that we get this new Drizzy, because everything that I've heard this year, even on the features, have been great. So I'm excited.
I'm really super excited for it. I think he's going to bring a new energy. But let's end off the episode about talking about some Dreamville, because there's quite a few artists that are supposed to drop. One of them being Baz. He's supposed to have new music coming on the way.
Baz, Jid as well.
Jid with the Forever story. Even Kaz apparently is supposed to have some new stuff coming out. Ari Lennox.
Earth Gang with Ghetto Gods.
So weren't those guys, man, they always troll. Weren't they supposed to drop with J. Cole? Wasn't that a thing?
That's what they said. They said we're gonna drop the same night as Cole, which I saw as not being the smartest move for them, and I guess they also knew that wouldn't be the best move for them either. But speaking of Dreamville, the first question I want to ask you is, like, how do you feel about J. Cole being first out of the gate and being the first one to start this rollout of Dreamville projects? Was that a smart move?
It was a smart move. It was, because a lot of people were waiting for it. Not only that, but I feel as if now J. Cole has time to really push his artists and put them onto a different level. Like, that rollout's done. It's over with. Now there's a lot of steam around Dreamville. The ears of the fans are perked up. People are asking questions. So it's a great time to start dropping these projects.
I feel like Baz is kind of the one that people are eyeing the most right now, because he really got his shine on the offseason. I mean, if you look at, his vocals on Let Go My Hand or Hunger on Hillside, his bridges in those songs and just his overall melodic ability really took me by surprise. And I'm like, wow, this guy could make a whole fucking album singing and I would be into it. Not only that, but we also have this crazy snippet that has everybody hyped right now with J. Cole and with Lil TJ, a collaboration that I never would have seen happening. And that
How do you feel about that, by the way?
It sounds like it's going to be the jam and the bop of the summer, to be honest.
You think so?
I really think so. Let me see what it was called. I had it down here somewhere.
Yeah,
there was a title to
I was
it.
reading it. I was just reading
Hold up.
it. We had DiCaprio 2, Chord 8. Is it called Ballads? No, it's not. My bad. No, I don't think you wrote it down.
No? Okay.
I don't think... No, you didn't write it down. But regardless, like, I listened to that snippet, and you already saw what was going on. Shout out to Team Dreamville, by the way.
Stop Playing With Me. That's the name of it.
Oh, there you go. Okay, Lou was sharp on the ball today, so fuck it. We didn't need the notes for that one. So, how do you feel about this whole rollout with the Dreamville team? Excuse me. And do you think it's going to be well executed?
Oh, definitely. And I feel like a lot of people have been putting pressure on TDE, saying Dreamville has been putting out a lot of projects. They've been more consistent. They put out the whole collective tape of Revenge of the Dreamers 3. And now, if we get another year that rolls around with no TDE projects and we get all of Dreamville release, then maybe they'll be that new camp that's really up there and that's dominant for now. I'm not saying that overall they'll ever touch, let's say, the quality of TDE, but if they keep up this consistency...
TDE cemented it.
I know.
TDE cemented.
But don't count Dreamville out just yet, man.
No,
a lot of them are only like 1 or 2 projects in.
I know, but
they have ways to go.
There's some serious fucking plaques in their halls.
I know.
That's what I gotta say.
They've definitely accomplished more than Dreamville has for now. But I'm just saying that they're giving them a run for their money. And with Jid's The Forever Story, I mean, that shit's gonna be fucking epic.
Have you heard the snippets? Like, have you ever heard some of his lives, like, seen what he's been doing? Okay, this was really cool because I was going through his IG stories, and he's actually gonna probably incorporate live instrumentals into this new album. Like, I saw him bring in like different jazz players. I saw him bringing in flute players.
Really, that's awesome.
I saw him taking videos of him, like, doing writing sessions with different artists. So I really do think that this is gonna be a great project for Jit, and maybe one of his best, because if you look at what he did on DiCaprio 2 and the Never Story, 2 really fucking solid projects, and some of the best that I heard in the 2010 decade. So
I think the Forever Story is going to be Jid's The Good Kid, Mad City. I feel like it'll be narrative based. I feel like he'll be going deep down into his past and kind of giving us the untold stories about Jid, letting us in on his challenges and kind of what he had to do to get to where he is. Not only that, but I mean, what amazes me is that over the last year or so, Jid has been dropping off these Lucy's like Skiji and like Cutter Freestyle, and they've blown me the fuck away. I'm like, if this is the shit that's not making the album, I mean, the album's gonna be fucking phenomenal. Not only that, but did you hear his verse on Scatterbrain from Conway?
Absolutely.
Fuck,
one of his best features that I've heard in recent time.
One of his best features, period.
Listen, it's gonna be a very interesting summer, man. And before I actually end this off and we go into our outro, I want to ask you this, okay? Out of all the projects we just named, What are 3 that you think we're getting for sure that haven't had release dates?
In July?
Yes. What are 3 if you had to put money on it?
You know what? Let me just, I'll do it this way. I'll go through every album that we have on the list, and I'll tell you which ones I think will actually end up coming out.
Okay, I'll do it for you. I got you. I have
I got it right in front of me. So,
okay, go for it.
Trip at Night, definitely coming out in July. The House is Burning could possibly come out in August, but I still think it's going to come out in July. Vince Staples' self-titled is confirmed.
Yeah,
Travis Scott's Utopia, putting my money on July for this one too.
Okay, big one.
Don Toliver's Life of a Don confirmed for July. Pop Smokes as well. ASAP Rocky's All Smiles, July 2. Conway the Machine's God Don't Make Mistakes. I see this one bleeding into August, maybe, but it could still come out in July.
CLB, baby.
CLB. I'm gonna. Fuck.
What do you got to do? Bet 365.
It's
bet
possible,
right now.
but I feel like he'll drop a few more features, maybe put out a Lucy, and then come out with it in August. And then the Dreamville albums. Maybe some Baz this month.
What
about you? Out of all those ones, which ones?
I agree with you on everything except I think Jid's dropping this month.
You think Jid's dropping this
I don't know.
month?
He's talking a lot about it, man. He's talking a lot about it, and I think it's going to be a 1-week rollout. I think it's going to be super quick, and it's going to be to the point.
We're seeing, man, with Tyler and J. Cole's rollouts, that the best rollouts are the short ones, the ones that really capture your attention for a brief amount of time, and then boom. You have the fucking project.
Unless you're Drizzy Drake.
Yeah, unless you're Drizzy Drake.
Drake
but he could afford to do that. It's a totally different ballgame.
He could take a decade. I don't care. I'll still listen to it. But listen, guys, thank you so much for coming into this episode. It's always a pleasure. And, out of all the albums that we just mentioned on this episode, I guarantee you we're going through everything and we're going to be reviewing it for you guys. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. And honestly, I hope you guys have been enjoying, the podcast lately. We've been trying to upgrade the content for you. And not only that, guys, but if you are interested in exclusive content, you guys go to our Patreon plan. Links in the description right now, guys. Thank you for coming in. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching the video. It's always a pleasure doing content for you guys. Listen, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because we're doing album reviews, and we actually have our series called Everything We Know, where we take you guys through the whole album rollout of the hottest releases of the year. Not only that, guys, but our Patreon plan is now live. You guys can access that in the bio. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.